One day, my parents said something I never thought I'd hear in my life: pay up or get out. I was 28, I had a steady job, didn't owe them a thing, never did anything wrong, and yet they gave me that ultimatum like I was some tenant behind on rent. So, what did I do? This story might make you rethink your own family, about where the line is between being a good kid and being a doormat, about how far parents should really be allowed to push their children. Before I go on, let me tell you a bit about myself. My name's Min. I'm 28, working in marketing at a company in the city. I make around 15 to 20 million a month. Not much, but enough to live and save a little. I still live with my parents in a 3-story house on the outskirts of town, the same house they built 20 years ago. The place I grew up in and always thought would be my home. There are 5 of us in the family. My dad's a retired government worker. My mom sells stuff at a local market. I'm the middle child of 3. My older brother Tuan is 32, married, and has a 3-year-old son. He's in business, seems well off, and rarely visits unless it's a holiday or he needs money. My younger sister Anne is 24 and in her last year of college. She's the favorite. And me, I'm the middle one. The invisible one. Not as successful as my brother, not as spoiled as my sister. Just the one who's there. The one my parents call when they need someone to go to the market, cook, clean, or drive them somewhere. The one nobody checks on when I come home late. The one nobody notices when I'm exhausted. I've always been quiet, easygoing, the kind who avoids arguments. Since I was little, I got used to being overlooked, so I learned to stay silent. Silent when my brother got praised and I got scolded. Silent when my sister got new clothes and I wore her hand-me-downs. Silent when my parents gave my brother money to start a business while I had to figure things out on my own. I kept thinking if I just behave, if I work hard someday, they'll see me. They'll appreciate me. Turns out I was wrong. I'm not rich, but I've managed to save a bit. After 5 years of working, I've saved around 200 million dong. Every month, I give my parents 5 million for living expenses, pay my own gas and meals, and still try to save whatever's left. That 200 million is my dream. One day I'll use it to buy a small place of my own. Somewhere I won't have to hear, "Why aren't you as good as your brother?" or "Can't you do anything right?" From the outside, my family looks normal. We eat together, we talk. But deep down, I always feel like an outsider, like an unpaid helper. I cook, clean, and take care of my parents, but no one ever says thank you. When my brother visits, he gets treated like royalty. My sister just disappears upstairs after dinner. Lately, that feeling's been getting stronger. I've started wondering if something's really off about the way my parents treat me. But then I always tell myself they're my parents. They must have their reasons. Maybe I'm just not good enough. Until one day they said it: pay up or get out. And everything changed. To understand how I ended up here, I need to start from the beginning, from childhood memories that, looking back now, I realize were already planting the seeds of unfairness. I remember when I was 10 during Lunar New Year, our whole family got together. My grandparents handed out lucky money to the kids. Tuan got 500,000, I got 200, and Anh got 300. I asked Mom, "Why does he get more than me?" She smiled, patted my head, and said, "Because your brother's smart. He earned it." I stayed quiet. Deep down, I promised myself I'd study hard so next year I could get 500 too. But the next year, even though I'd improved a lot, Tuan still got more. The reason he's the oldest. Of course it's different. When I was 15, I wanted to take extra English classes. Everyone around me was doing it, and I didn't want to fall behind. The fee was 3 million for a 6-month course. I asked my parents, but Mom shook her head. "We don't have the money, honey. I have to cover your brother's classes already." I felt sad but understood. Times were tough. 3 months later, Tuan signed up for driving lessons, computer classes, all kinds of stuff. I asked Mom and she said, "Your brother needs those for his future job. You just need enough to get by." I was 15, didn't know much, so I just nodded. But now thinking back, maybe that was when I started realizing I was different in this family. When I was 18, I got into a decent college, not top tier, but one many people dreamed of. The day I got the acceptance letter, I ran home so excited to tell my parents. I thought they'd be proud. Mom just nodded. "That's good. Not as good as your brother's, though." Dad glanced up from his newspaper and said, "That school, it's okay," then went back to reading. No celebration, no words of praise, just, "It's okay." At 20, I graduated. I had to find a job on my own, go to interviews by myself, fall, and get back up alone. Meanwhile, Tuan landed a job right after graduation because Dad pulled some strings at a company he knew. His starting salary was high and everything was smooth. I asked Dad, Why didn't you recommend me to? He said, you need to be independent. Hardship builds character. Which made sense, I guess. But somehow Tuan never needed hardship to build his. That was my childhood small subtle things I didn't notice at the time. I thought that's just how parents raise their kids. Until about 3 years ago when things became too obvious to ignore. 3 years ago, Tuan got married. Huge wedding. My parents spent a fortune. Then he wanted to buy a house and they gave him 1 billion dong to help out. 1 billion? I couldn't believe it when I heard. I asked Mom, where'd you get that much money? She said, we've been saving for years. He's starting a family, we have to help him. I asked, what about me? She looked at me and said, you're not married yet. What do you need money for? I wanted to say I needed it too to buy my own place to build my future, but I stayed quiet. Maybe I just didn't deserve it. 2 years ago, An wanted to do a short study program in Singapore. 3 months, nearly 100 million dong. My parents agreed immediately. I was happy for her. But a few months later, I wanted to take a digital marketing course, 20 million, to improve my skills and maybe get promoted. I asked my parents and Mom said, you're already working. Pay for it yourself. We don't have money. No money for 20 million, but 100 million for insure. I didn't blame her. It wasn't her fault, but I started feeling like something was really off. Last year, Tuan ran into business trouble. He came home to talk with my parents. I sat quietly in the corner overhearing. He said he needed 50 million to get through a rough patch and promised to pay it back in 6 months. My parents said they didn't have any money. That night, Mom called me downstairs. How much have you saved, she asked. I hesitated. About 100 million? She nodded. Can you lend your brother 50? He's struggling. He'll pay you back in 6 months. I looked at her face, tired and worried, and nodded. Okay, 50 million. I sent it to Tuan that night. He texted me, said thanks, and promised to repay me soon. 6 months passed. Nothing. I asked Mom to check in with him. She said, he's still having a hard time. Be patient. I nodded, again. Now it's been a year. No word. Every time I ask, I hear the same thing, he's struggling. Give him time. And my role in the family. Every weekend, I go home. Not because I want to, but because my parents tell me to. Come home for dinner. Why stay out all the time? So I go. And when I do, I become the housekeeper. Cooking, washing dishes, cleaning, doing laundry, driving my parents to the market, to the doctor, to visit their friends. When Tuan comes home, he just sits on the couch watching TV, eats, then lies down to rest. His wife and kid are treated like guests. Mom brings them drinks and fruit. No one asks him to lift a finger. He works hard, he deserves to rest, they say. When Anne's home, she eats and goes straight to her room. She's still in school, she needs to study, they say. And me, you live here. Of course you should help. Or do you want us to hire someone? Mom said that once. I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say. One time I was exhausted and told Mom, can I come home a bit later? I've got plans with friends. She frowned. What friends are more important than family? Come home and cook for us. I canceled my plans. Went home. Cooked. I felt like an unpaid worker. Doing everything. Getting no thanks. Giving everything. Getting no recognition. I existed, but it felt like I didn't. And that's where the story leading up to that one fateful day began. This March, Tuan ran into big trouble. His business went under, he owed the bank, his partners altogether, about 300 million dong. He came home looking exhausted, sat down with our parents, and started talking. I was upstairs and could hear his voice shaky and loud mixed with Mom's sighs. I don't know what to do anymore. The bank's about to take my house. My wife cries every night. My kid's still so little. If we lose the house, where are we gonna live? His voice cracked, he was crying. Mom said, how could you let it get this bad? We already gave you 1 billion, I know, he said. But I made some bad investments. I got scammed. It's all gone, Mom. He paused. I'm not asking for much, just 300 million to pay off the debts. I'll sell the small house and take care of the rest myself. 300 million. That was huge. I knew my parents didn't have that kind of money. After giving him 1 billion, they probably only had about 100 million left in savings. Mom told him, we don't have that much, son. We only have 100 million now. Tuan started crying. Then my family's done for, Mom. Dad tried to comfort him. Don't worry, we'll figure something out. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed hearing my parents talking downstairs. Mom's voice was anxious. We have to help him. We can't let him lose the house. Our grandson's just a kid. It'd be terrible for him. Dad sighed. But where do we get the money? We only have 100 million. There was a pause. Then Mom said, Min, he's got money. My heart dropped. Dad asked, how much does he have? Mom said, and he told me last week he's got 200 million saved. He's been saving to buy a house. Dad said. So we'll ask him to help his brother, Mom replied. Of course. We're family. We have to help each other. I just lay there frozen. My hands were cold. 200 million. My entire savings, 5 years of work. Every single dong saved by eating 20,000 dong meals, by saying no to trips, by dreaming of a tiny place I could call my own. I knew what was coming the next day, March 15th. The night everything changed. After dinner, my parents didn't go upstairs like they usually did. They stayed in the living room and called me down. The air felt heavy. Mom sat with her arms crossed, her face tight. Dad stared at the floor, silent. I sat across from them, my heart pounding. Mom started. You know your brother's in trouble, right? I nodded. Yeah, I know. She went on. He owes 300 million. If he doesn't pay, he'll lose his house. Your nephew's still little. Losing their home would destroy them. She looked right at me. We all have to help. You've saved 200 million, haven't you? I swallowed hard, my throat tight. Yeah, but what Dad cut in his tone sharp. Your family's in crisis and you still have butts. I tried to explain. I just mean, I've been saving that money for a house. It took me 5 years. Mom waved it off. You can buy a house later. You're still young. Your brother needs help now. Your nephew needs a home now. I felt the unfairness hit me like a punch. But I need a home too, Mom. I'm 28. I need my own place. Dad slammed his hand on the table. You already have a place. This house. You live here for free, don't you? Your brother's about to lose everything and you're worried about yourself. I was shaking. Not from fear, but anger, pure frustration. I get that he's struggling and I want to help, but could you at least treat it like a loan? He can pay me back in 6 months. Mom looked at me like she didn't recognize me. Loan. You're talking about loans with your own family? How selfish can you be? It felt like a slap. I'm not being selfish, but he borrowed 50 million from me last year and he still hasn't paid it back. Now you're asking me to… Dad stood up, face red. Enough. I don't want to hear another word. I'll say this once this week: you give your brother 150 million. We'll add our 100, that makes 250 total. He can handle the rest. You'll still have 50 left. That's plenty. 150 million. They wanted me to hand over 3/4 of everything I had. I stood up trembling. I can't, Dad. That's my house money. I need it. He glared at me, eyes cold. Fine. Then here's your choice. Give your brother 150 million this week or find somewhere else to live. We're not keeping an ungrateful kid in this house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're kidding, right? Mom's voice was firm. We're not kidding. Pay up or move out. You choose. The room went dead silent. I stood there staring at the two people I called my parents, the people I thought would always protect me, love me. And now they were telling me to pay or leave. I wanted to cry, but I bit my lip and held it in. I understand, I said quietly. They went upstairs, leaving me alone in the dim living room. The lights were on, but it felt dark. I sat down on the floor and buried my head in my hands. 28 years. I'd lived with them for 28 years, and now they wanted me to pay rent or go. Like I was just some stranger. Like 28 years of being their child was only worth 150 million dong. I didn't know what to do. I went back to my room, closed the door, and sat down on the floor. Not on the bed, right on the floor with my back against the wall. I needed to feel something solid behind me just to remind myself I was still here, still real. I stared up at the ceiling, trying to process what had just happened. My parents, the people I've called Mom and Dad for 28 years, had just given me an ultimatum: pay up or get out. As if I were a stranger. As if the bond of blood was worth only 150 million dong. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. The screen showed my balance 203,450,000 dong. That number I'd looked at every day and every time it made me smile. It was 5 years of work. 5 years of cheap meals that cost 20,000 while my coworkers spent 50. 5 years of skipping trips with friends to save. 5 years of unpaid overtime just to earn bonus days I could cash out. Every single dong had a story. I remembered my first New Year's bonus, 10 million. I didn't buy anything, just put it all into savings. I remembered when my friends planned a trip to Dalat, 3 million each. I said no. I remembered months when I ate instant noodles 3 days a week to cut expenses. And now my parents wanted to take 150 million. Like it was pocket change. They didn't ask if I agreed, they just told me to give it, and if I didn't, I had to leave. I lay down on the floor, staring at the ceiling. The tears came on their own, not sobbing, just quiet streams running down my face. I didn't wipe them away. I let them fall. When it hurts that much, crying isn't weak. It's just human. Am I wrong, I asked myself. Am I ungrateful for wanting to keep what's mine? My parents raised me for 28 years. They fed me, educated me. But does that mean those 28 years are worth exactly 150 million? Or if a child owes their parents, how much is that debt? And do they ever stop paying? I thought about everything I'd done for this family. Since I started working, I've given them 5 million a month. That's 300 million in 5 years. Not to mention all the weekends I came home to cook, clean, drive them around. If that were paid labor, it wouldn't be a small amount. So who really owes who? Then again, I told myself they're my parents. You don't measure love in money. But they did. They put a price on it. They said pay 150 million or leave. So yeah, they'd already turned love into money. I couldn't sleep that night. Tossed and turned until morning. My mind kept looping through the same questions. If I give them the money, will I ever get it back? Last year, Tuan borrowed 50 million, promised to repay in 6 months. It's been a year. Nothing. Every time I ask, they say, he's struggling. Be patient. So if I give another 150, now what'll happen? The same thing he's struggling, you should sacrifice. If I don't give it, where will I go? I could rent a small room, 4 million a month, plus a 3-month deposit and basic furniture. About 30 million total. I'd still have 170 million left. If I live frugally, spend 9 million a month, I can still save 6. In 2 years, I'd have enough to buy a tiny place. But that means leaving home. Living alone, no more parents, no more house. Why did Tuan get 1 billion as a gift, but I have to give away 150 million? Like it's my duty. That question hurt the most. He got 1 billion when he got married. No one asked him to pay it back. That was love. But when it came to me, I had to hand over 150 million out of obligation. And if I didn't, I'd be ungrateful. The next morning, I couldn't bring myself to go downstairs for breakfast. I didn't want to face them. Didn't want to hear. So have you decided? I left early for work, practically fleeing the house. At the office, I sat in front of my computer, but I couldn't focus. My mind kept spinning. A coworker asked if I was okay. I smiled weakly. Just didn't sleep well. During lunch, I couldn't eat. I walked to a small park near the office, sat on a bench, and called my best friend. Huang's been my closest friend since college. She knows me better than anyone. Hey, Huang, I need to talk, I said. Her voice was cheerful at first. Sure, what's wrong? You sound down. I told her everything from start to finish. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she sighed. That's insane. What's wrong with your parents? Don't you dare give them that money. But, no buts, she snapped. That's your money. You earned it. They have no right to demand it. And let's be real, if you give it, you'll never see it again. Look at last year. Did you get that 50 back? I was silent. She went on. And if they're giving you ultimatums like that, that's not love, that's control. With 150 million, you could rent your own place for years, live free. No guilt, no pressure. But they're still my parents, Huang. I know, she said softly. But parents should respect their kids too. Being a parent doesn't mean they can take whatever they want. Think carefully. When I hung up, my chest felt heavy. Part of me knew she was right, but part of me kept whispering, they're still my parents. That evening when I got home, my sister Anne was waiting in my room. Her eyes were red. I heard everything she said quietly. I sat down on the bed. What do you think? She hesitated. I think our brother's in trouble, but I also get you. You have every right to keep your money. I don't know what to say. I smiled sadly. At least you understand me. She took my hand. But listen, they're not going to change. If you don't give them the money, they really might kick you out. What do you think I should do? She shook her head. I don't know. But whatever you decide, I'll support you. That was the first time I felt someone in this family actually cared about me. Not for what I could do, but just for being me. And Tuan, he didn't call. Not once. Not a single word. I guess he was just waiting for the money. I had 3 days left to decide. 3 days to choose 150 million or my family. But I couldn't help wondering, was that even a family anymore? 3 days after everything happened, I decided to go home early. Work finished ahead of schedule, so I left around 4 instead of 6. As soon as I opened the door, I heard Mom talking on the phone in the living room. Her voice was loud. She hadn't noticed I was back yet. I was about to call out to her, but the first thing she said made me freeze. Yeah, of course. If he's living here and not contributing, then he can get out. I stopped dead in the doorway. She was talking about me. The person on the other end said something I couldn't make out, and Mom went on. The oldest has to have a proper home. Our grandson can't be left without a roof over his head. He's the man of the family, we have to take care of him. I frowned. And what am I then? Mom kept talking. As for Min, well, he's also a boy, but he's more like a girl, you know. Quiet, obedient, good at housework. Once he gets married, his husband will take care of him, so what's he saving 200 million for? Just give it to his brother. He needs it more. It felt like I'd just been slapped. Once he gets married, his husband will take care of him. She was talking about me. My own mother saw me as a daughter. I stood there, my feet glued to the floor. Mom kept chatting, unaware I was listening. Yeah, I know, but these days boys and girls are all the same. Min's doing fine, but he's soft. He doesn't have business sense like the oldest. He's just an office worker. Once he gets married, his husband will handle the money. The oldest one has to take care of everyone, that's why he needs more. The person on the line said something, and Mom laughed. Of course I won't tell him. He already thinks we're treating him unfairly. But it's just how it is, the eldest son matters more. I couldn't listen anymore. I quietly stepped back, closed the door, and walked down the street. My heart was pounding like crazy. My head was spinning. My mom thought I was a girl. She thought I'd get married and my husband would take care of me. She thought I didn't need money because I wasn't meant to build a future for myself. She thought I was weak, gentle, just someone who'd always stay small and obedient. 28 years. I'd lived 28 years without realizing this was how she saw me. I sat down on a bench at the park near our house and called my sister. Hey, Ann, I said. Can I ask you something? Be honest, okay? Sure. What's up? Have Mom and Dad ever said anything about me? I mean, about how they see me. She went silent. I knew right away she knew something. And just tell me, I can take it. She sighed. You really want to know? Yeah. After a pause, she said, last year, when Tuan borrowed 50 million from you, I heard Mom and Dad talking. Dad told Mom and Min lent his brother 50 million. Let's tell the oldest not to pay it back. He's the younger one, it's fine. Mom said, yeah, Min's obedient. He won't ask for it anyway. I bit my lip hard. She went on. And when they gave Tuan that billion, I heard Dad tell Grandma we have to take care of the oldest son properly. The daughter will get married and her husband will take care of her. I didn't get it at first. I mean, you're not a girl, but now I do. Do what? Mom and Dad see you as the daughter. You're quiet, gentle, always helping around the house. They're used to that. So to them, you're like the daughter. And Tuan's the eldest son, the one who's supposed to carry the family name. So he gets the priority. Something cracked inside me. It wasn't because I wasn't good enough. It wasn't because I didn't try. It was because my parents, my own parents, never saw me as their son. They saw me as someone else. Someone who'd one day marry out. Someone who didn't need to save money. Someone who didn't need to dream. Are you okay? And asked softly. And did you hear anything about the 150 million? She hesitated. I did. I overheard them. They said they'd take it from you for Tuan, not a loan, a gift. They said Min has 200 million. Give his brother 150. 50's enough for him. Once he gets married, his husband will take care of the rest. I wanted to cry, but there were no tears left, only anger and heartbreak. Thanks for telling me, I said quietly. Please don't do anything rash. I won't, I'm fine. I hung up and sat there watching the sky turn from gold to gray. Everything suddenly made sense. Why I'd always been treated differently. Why Tuan was always the favorite. Why I was the one doing all the housework. Why my parents never asked if I needed money for my own home. Why they thought demanding 150 million from me was reasonable. Because to them, I wasn't a son. I was the daughter. The one who'd get married, who didn't need to plan for the future, who only needed to obey and eventually leave. But I am a son. I have a career. I have ambitions. I want to buy my own place. I want to build my own life. I'm a person with dreams, with the right to live my own way. That night when I came home, Dad was sitting in the yard talking with his older brother, my uncle. They were drinking tea. I walked past quietly, planning to head upstairs, but I heard my uncle ask, so you're really making Min give Tuan 150 million. Did he agree? I stopped behind the wall and listened. Dad said if he won't give it, he can leave. We raised him for 28 years, he owes us that much. My uncle snorted. But you gave Tuan a whole billion. Why not take it from that? Dad took a sip of tea. Tuan's the eldest son. He deserves a good setup. Min's doing fine, he's got a job. He doesn't need that much money. Just enough to get by. My uncle said, but doesn't he want to buy a house too? Dad shrugged. He's young. He can wait. Or he'll get married and handle it with his wife. I froze. He said wife. But his tone was casual, like that was just how things were supposed to be. Like there was nothing strange about it. Did he also see me as a girl? I went upstairs, quietly closed my door, and sat on my bed. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about the 150 million. It was about something bigger. The real question was, am I still their child? Or have I just been a tool all along? Someone they could use to feed my brother's life. And deep down, I already knew the answer. Friday night, exactly 1 week after the ultimatum, I decided to confront them. I couldn't stay silent anymore. I couldn't just let it slide like nothing happened. They needed to know that I knew. They needed to face what they'd done. After dinner, the house was unbearably quiet. Mom was washing dishes, Dad was watching TV, and Anne had gone upstairs. I stood up, my hands trembling. My voice shook too. Dad, Mom, I need to talk. Dad turned off the TV. Mom wiped her hands and came to the living room. They both sat down looking at me expectantly, probably thinking I was about to agree to give the money. Dad, Mom. I took a deep breath. I want to ask you something. Why do you treat me and Tuan so differently? Dad frowned. Differently? What are you talking about? I could feel the anger rising in my chest. You gave Tuan $1 billion when he got married. I got nothing. He borrowed $50 million from me and you told him not to pay it back. Now he needs more money and you're demanding that I give him another $150 million. Isn't that a difference? Mom frowned. He's the eldest. Of course he gets priority. That's our family tradition. It's how things have always been. But I'm your child too. My voice cracked. I'm also your son. I need money to buy a home to build my own life. Why can't you see that? Dad slammed his hand on the table. Are you arguing with us? Are you saying we're unfair? Yes. I shouted louder than I'd ever spoken to him in my life. You are unfair. You've never been fair to me. Mom jumped up, her face red. How dare you talk to your parents like that? We raised you for 28 years, gave you food and education, and this is how you repay us. Yes, I dare. I shouted back, standing up too. Because it's the truth. I heard you on the phone, Mom. You said I'm like a girl that I'll get married and my husband will take care of me, so I don't need money. Didn't you? Mom froze, her face pale. Dad looked from her to me. You were eavesdropping. I wasn't eavesdropping, I said, voice breaking. I came home early. You didn't know. I heard everything. You said I'm like a girl that I'll get married, that I should give my brother the money because he needs it more. You said I'm weak, not good at business, only fit to be an office worker. Mom turned away, unable to look at me. You misunderstood. Misunderstood. I laughed bitterly. Then explain it. Do you see me as your son or not? Do you think I need a future of my own? Or do you think I'll just get married and let someone else take care of me? Silence. She had no answer because it was true. Dad spoke coldly. Enough. I don't want to argue. I'll ask one last time. Are you giving your brother the 150 million or not? If I don't, I asked, are you really going to throw me out? Mom looked me straight in the eye. Yes. Because we won't keep an ungrateful child in this house. Ungrateful. My chest tightened. You raised me for 28 years, yes. But for the past 5 years, I've given you 5 million every month. That's 300 million. I cook, clean, take care of you every weekend. If that were paid labor, it'd be worth plenty. I've repaid everything I owe. What about Tuan? He comes home to eat and rest. You gave him $1 billion. He owes me 50 million and never paid. And now you want me to give him more. Who's really ungrateful here? Dad's face turned red. Enough. Don't you dare compare yourself to your brother. He's the eldest, the man of the family. And you? And me what? I cut him off. You don't see me as a man. You don't see me as your son. I deserve respect too. I deserve a future too. Just then, Anne ran downstairs, tears in her eyes. Dad, Mom, don't kick her out. She's right. You've been unfair for years. Mom snapped. And stay out of this. You don't know what you're talking about. Anne shook her head, crying harder. I do. I've seen it my whole life. You always favored my brother. You always made Min do everything and never thanked her for it. Dad roared, and go upstairs. This is between adults. And refused. She ran to me, wrapping her arms around me, sobbing. Don't go, please don't go. I patted her shoulder, trying to hold back my own tears. It's okay. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Just then, a car engine roared outside. The door opened and Tuan walked in. Dad must have called him. He looked around and frowned. What's going on? Mom said Min won't give you the money. He's arguing with us, saying we're unfair. Tuan's expression went cold. So it's true you're not helping me. I looked straight at him. Don't you see how wrong this is? You got $1 billion from mom and dad. You borrowed $50 million from me and never paid it back. And now you want another 150. Do you even care that I need to build my own life too? He scoffed. I'm struggling. Family helps family. If you won't help, you're not a real brother. I laughed bitterly. You got $1 billion. I got nothing. Do you ever think maybe I deserve something too? Or do you just expect me to sacrifice everything for you? He stepped closer, voice rising. I'm the eldest. Of course I get more. You're the younger one, you should know your place. That's how it works. That's how it works, I said, staring him down. You take everything and I'm supposed to smile and thank you. That's not family, that's exploitation. His face went red. He clenched his fists and stepped toward me, but Dad grabbed his arm. Enough. That's enough. Then Dad turned to me, his voice icy. This is the last time I'll say it. Tomorrow I want to see 150 million in your brother's account. Or I want you and your things out of this house. Your choice. I looked at him, then at Mom, then at Tuan, and I said calmly, I've already chosen. The room went silent. Mom stared at me. What did you just say? I said I'm leaving, I repeated. I'll pack my things and go, because I can't live in a house where I'm not respected. A house where I'm nothing but a tool for my brother. And clung to me, crying. Please don't go. I hugged her back, whispering, It's okay, don't cry. I'll be okay. Then I turned, walked upstairs, and left the three of them standing there in silence. That night I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor packing my things. The decision was made. That night I sat alone in my room replaying 28 years of my life. I opened my phone and scrolled through old family photos, New Year's birthdays, random outings. Everyone was smiling in every picture. But now looking at them, I wondered, was I ever really happy in any of those moments? Was there ever a time my parents truly saw me? Was there ever a time I was loved the way Tuan was? The answer was no. I opened my banking app again, 103,450,000 dong. If I gave them 150 million, I'd be left with 53 million. Not enough for a house, not enough to live comfortably. And more than that, I'd be giving away everything I'd worked so hard for. But if I didn't give it, I'd lose my family. Then again, maybe I'd already lost them. I made up my mind I was leaving. But before I left, I needed to do something. I needed them to understand. I needed them to know what they'd done to me. I turned on my computer and started typing a letter. Not a short one, a long one. Everything I'd wanted to say for years, but never dared to. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm writing this not to argue, but so you'll understand why I've decided to leave. For 28 years, I've lived in this house. For 28 years, I've tried to make you see me, to love me like you love my brother. But I never succeeded. I want to lay everything out clearly. When I was 10, Tuan got 500,000 for New Year's. I got 200,000. Reason he studied better. When I was 15, I wanted to learn English, but you said we had no money. 3 months later, Tuan got to take multiple classes. When I was 18, I got into college. You said that's good, but not as good as your brother. When I was 20, I had to find a job by myself. You helped Tuan get into a good company. 3 years ago, Tuan got married. You gave him 1 billion dong. I got nothing. Reason I wasn't married yet. 2 years ago, Anne studied abroad. You paid 100 million for her trip. I asked for 20 million for a marketing course. You said no. Last year, Tuan borrowed 50 million from me, promised to repay in 6 months. It's been a year. Nothing. Because he's struggling. This year, he owes 300 million, and you demanded I give him 150 million. Not as a loan, but as a gift. And if I refuse, I have to leave this house. Here's what I've done for this family. Since I started working, I've given you 5 million every month. That's 300 million in 5 years. Every weekend, I come home to cook, clean, do laundry, take care of you. That's labor to real work. I drive you to the hospital, to the market, to visit friends. I handle everything while Tuan sits and relaxes. So tell me who owes who. Yes, you raised me for 28 years, but I've repaid you in money and effort. I don't owe you anything anymore. If anyone owes, it's Tuan. He got $1 billion. He still owes me 50 million, and now he wants another 150. But what hurts most isn't the money. It's how you see me. I heard you, Mom. You said I'm like a girl that I'll get married and my husband will take care of me. You said I'm weak, not good at business, and don't need to save. I heard you, Dad. You told Uncle Hai I only need enough to get by, that I'll marry and handle things with my wife. Mom, Dad, I'm your son. I also need to build a career. I need to buy a home. I need a future. Why can't you see that? Why do you treat me like I'm invisible? Why do you think asking me for 150 million is normal? I'm not giving you the money. Not because I'm ungrateful, but because I need to live. I need a future. I need to respect myself. I'm leaving. Not because I'm abandoning you, but because you never really saw me. I hope someday you'll understand. I love you both even if you never loved me the same. Min. I read the letter again. Tears streamed down my face, but I knew I had to do it. They had to see this. They couldn't say they didn't know. I printed it, folded it carefully, and put it into an envelope. Then I added a few more things, the house key and the secondary bank card they'd given me years ago for convenience. I put everything together inside the envelope. I didn't want to owe them anything. Then I checked my phone. I had a voice recording from the night of the argument. I'd accidentally turned on the recorder. It captured everything Mom's saying. We won't keep an ungrateful child, Dad shouting, "Get out of this house," and me listing all the unfair things they couldn't deny. I decided to keep it, not to post it online, but to protect myself. If they ever tried to paint me as the bad child, I'd have proof. At 6 in the morning, I got up. I packed my things, clothes, shoes, my laptop, documents, a few keepsakes. Everything fit into 2 suitcases. 28 years of my life packed into 2 bags. I looked around the room one last time. The room where I'd studied cried grown up. I didn't know if I'd ever see it again. Quietly, I carried the suitcases downstairs. I set the envelope on the dining table where they'd be sure to see it. On the front, I wrote, "Mom and Dad, please open this." Then I texted a note. "I'm leaving. Take care of Mom and Dad. I'm not leaving because of you. I just need freedom. I love you. I'll stay in touch." I called a cab. By 7, it was waiting outside. I rolled my suitcases to the door and looked back at the house one last time. The 3-story house I once thought was home. Now it was just a house. Tears fell, but I smiled. For the first time in 28 years, I felt light, free from the weight of unfairness, free to breathe, free to be myself. I got into the car and said quietly, "Let's go." As the car pulled away, I watched the house fade into the distance through the window, and I knew my new life had just begun. At 8 a.m., Mom woke up like usual. She went to the kitchen to make porridge for Dad. But when she passed the dining table, she saw a white envelope in the middle. My handwriting, "Mom and Dad, please open this." She picked it up and opened it. Inside was the long letter, the house key, and the secondary bank card. She read the first line and her face went pale. She shouted, "Honey, come down here now." Dad ran down, still buttoning his shirt. "What is it? What happened?" Min left. She handed him the letter. "He left this." Dad read it, and his face went from confused to pale to red with anger. He finished the letter and slammed his hand on the table. "Ungrateful. That kid is ungrateful. He really left." But Mom, after reading it again, started to shake. She dropped into a chair. "Where did he go? Does he have money to rent a place? How's he gonna live?" Dad was still angry. "He's got 200 million. He'll be fine. Let him go and see how tough life is. He'll come back and beg us for forgiveness." Mom shook her head, tears streaming. "No, that's not it. Read the letter again. He listed everything. What we did to him. Dad stayed hard. We didn't do anything wrong. The eldest son matters more. That's our tradition. Min should understand. But he's our child too." Mom cried. "Did we go too far?" Dad didn't answer. He read the letter again, slower this time. When he reached the list of unfair things, he went quiet. When he got to the part about "you see me as a daughter," he flinched. "How did he find out?" Dad asked. "I was on the phone with my sister," Mom said softly. "He must have come home early." "I didn't know." Dad stayed silent. For the first time, he wondered if he was wrong. Mom pulled out her phone and tried calling me. Once, twice, 3 times. No answer. I'd blocked their numbers for now. Not to cut ties forever, but because I needed time. Time to be quiet. Time to start over. "He's not picking up." Mom panicked. "Let's go look for him. This city's huge." "If he wants to disappear, how are we supposed to find him?" Dad said, but his voice had softened. At 9 a.m., they called Tuan. He was on his way to work. "What is it? I'm busy." Min left, Mom said, voice shaking. He really did. Tuan sounded surprised, then said, "Fine. Let him. It's good. He'll learn the hard way. Life out there is rough. He'll come back and apologize." Mom said, "But we're worried about him." Tuan sighed. "What's there to worry about? Since he left, you can relax. About the money, do you have another way? I really need it." Dad grit his teeth. "Handle it yourself. We don't have money for you. Why, you still have 100 million." Tuan snapped. "That's our savings, not yours," Dad said firm. "Figure it out yourself." Tuan got angry. "Fine." He hung up. That's when Tuan started resenting me. In his head, if I'd given the money, he wouldn't be struggling. He didn't think about how much he'd already taken. He only thought Min is selfish. At 10 a.m., Anne woke up. She came downstairs and saw our parents sitting in silence in the living room. Mom's eyes were swollen. Dad's face was ashy. And looked at the table and saw the letter. Did Min leave? She asked, voice trembling. Mom nodded, unable to speak, and grabbed the letter and read it. When she finished, she burst into tears. You chased her out. What did you do? Dad barked. Shut up. We didn't kick him out. He left on his own. Because you forced him. And cried louder. She's not wrong. She has the right to keep her money. Why don't you get that? Mom stood up to hug on, but Anne stepped back. I don't want to be near you. You're awful. She ran to her room and slammed the door. From that day, Anne pulled away from them. She stopped coming down for meals. She cooked by herself in her room with a small rice cooker. She only spoke to them when she had to. The bond between parents and child started to crack. That afternoon, Mom's younger sister came by. Seeing Mom's swollen eyes, she asked, What happened? Mom told the story, but from her side. Min refused to help his brother. He talked back to us, then left. So ungrateful. Her sister shook her head. Why would he do that? That's ungrateful. Then she asked, How much did you give Tuan? $1 billion last year. What about Min? He's not married. I haven't given him anything. Her sister went quiet for a moment, then said, That's not fair. Min's your child too. He needs money too. Mom turned away. You don't understand. The eldest son matters more. That's our tradition. What tradition? Her sister said. These days, sons and daughters are equal. You've played favorites too long. Now he's gone and you finally see what you've lost. Mom didn't answer, but her thoughts started to shift. Maybe she was wrong. That evening, my parents sat in silence in the living room. No sound of me cooking. No clatter of me cleaning. No voice asking, Have you eaten? The house was painfully quiet. Mom cooked, but it didn't taste like mine. Dad put his chopsticks down after a few bites. This isn't good. Mom couldn't eat either. She missed the meals I made. The dishes I tailored to their tastes. She realized how much I'd done. All the small things they had taken for granted. She couldn't sleep that night. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about the letter. Thinking about my words. She asked herself if she'd treated me unfairly, if she'd really seen me as a daughter. She remembered what she'd said to her sister Min will get married and follow her husband. Now she thought Min is a son. Why did I say that? Why did I think that? Regret began to settle in. As for me, how was my first night out there? I booked a hotel for 3 nights, $900,000 a night. I lay on a strange bed staring at a strange ceiling. I felt hollow, free but lonely. I checked my phone. 47 missed calls, 20 from Mom, 10 from Dad, 5 from Tuan, 12 from aunts and uncles. They all wanted to know where I was. They all wanted me to come back. But no one apologized. No one admitted they were wrong. They just wanted me back. I didn't call them. I only texted, and I'm okay. Don't worry. I'll stay in touch. She replied right away. Where are you? I miss you. I said I'm somewhere safe. Don't worry. That night I called Huang my best friend. I told her everything. She sighed. You did the right thing. Whatever you need, I've got you. I cried. Not because I was sad, but because someone understood me. Someone was on my side. That first night alone, I cried until there were no tears left. But the next morning, I woke up with a new resolve. I'm going to live. I'm going to stand on my own. I'm going to show them I can make it without them. And I'm going to live well. After 3 days in the hotel, I started looking for a place to rent. I couldn't stay there forever. It was too expensive. I went online, joined rental groups, and scrolled through dozens of posts. Finally, I found a 25 square meter room in a residential area near my company. $4 million a month. Not big, but clean, safe, and perfect for one person. The landlord was a kind old lady around 60. She showed me the room. It was small, but had everything: a bed, a closet, a desk, a private bathroom. The window looked out onto a quiet alley. I nodded. I'll take it. You'll need to pay a 3-month deposit and 1 month up front. $16 million total, she said. I transferred the money right away. $16 million. Not a small amount, but it was my first step toward building my own life. Then I went shopping for basics. Mattress, $1.5 million. Fan, $800,000. Small table and chair set $1.2 million. Rice cooker, $600,000. Pots, pans. Dishes, $200,000. Desk lamp, $300,000. About $10 million total. Total spent in the first week, $26 million. Balance left, $177 million. Still a lot, but I knew I had to save carefully. The first day I moved in, I sat on my new mattress and looked around the empty room. No TV, no fridge, no air conditioner, just the basics. But strangely, I felt at peace. This was my space. No demands, no pressure, just me. That night, I cooked instant noodles, ate alone in silence. But it was peaceful silence, not the heavy kind I used to feel at home. I missed home. I missed Anne. But I didn't regret leaving. The first month alone wasn't easy. I had to take care of everything myself. Cooking, cleaning, waking up, sleeping all alone. No one asked, "Did you eat?" No one asked, "How was your day?" Just me. At work, everything seemed normal. My coworkers asked why I didn't go home anymore. I just smiled. I moved out, trying to live on my own. No one knew the truth behind it. No one knew I was trying to piece myself back together. At night, I started learning how to cook properly. I watched videos online and practiced simple dishes. Fried eggs, braised pork vegetable soup. At first, I failed a lot. Burned rice, salty meat. But slowly I got better. My food started tasting good and I was proud of myself. I also started tracking my expenses carefully. Rent $4 million. Food? $3 million, about 100,000 a day. 30K breakfast, 40K lunch, 30K dinner. Cheaper when I cooked. Utilities 500,000. Gas 1 million. Other 500,000. Total 9 million. Monthly income after tax 15 million. Saving 6 million a month. 6 million a month meant 72 million a year. 2 years, 144 million. Add that to my current 177 million and I'd have 321 million. Enough for a down payment on a small apartment with a bank loan for the rest. I had a plan. A goal. For the first time, I felt like my life was in my hands. On the third week, Anne texted me for my address and came to visit secretly. She brought food Mom had cooked her eyes red. "Mom and Dad asked about you." I opened the door and hugged her. "Come in." She sat on my mattress, looked around. "You live here." "It's so small, but I like it," I said, smiling. "It's mine. No one tells me what to do. No one asks me to sacrifice." And cried. "Mom and Dad, they seem sorry. Mom's been crying a lot. Dad barely talks. They ask me about you, but I don't tell them." "What did you say?" I said I didn't know. "I don't want them to find you. I'm scared they'll come and make things hard for you." I patted her head. "Thank you. You're such a good sister." "Can't you come home?" she asked. "They're old. They look so sad." I shook my head. "I'm not going back. Not unless they apologize. Not unless they admit they were wrong. And not unless they give me back the 50 million Tuan borrowed last year." She looked shocked. "You're asking them for money." "I'm not asking them for money. I'm asking for fairness. That 50 million was what he borrowed from me, not them. If they'd given me $1 billion like they gave him, I wouldn't ask. But they didn't, so I have to claim what's mine." And went quiet. She understood. By the second month, life started to settle. I got used to being alone. I even started to enjoy it. No one to cook for. No one to clean up after. I had time for myself to read, watch movies, and learn new things. Mom started calling. I unblocked her number. The first call she said, "Where are you? We're so worried." "I'm fine." "Come home." "Have you apologized?" Silence. "If not, I'm not coming back." I hung up. A few days later, Dad called. His voice was softer than usual. "Come home. I was wrong." I froze. It was the first time I'd ever heard him say that. "What were you wrong about?" I asked. "I shouldn't have kicked you out." "And do you see how unfairly you treated me and Tuan? Do you admit you were biased?" He was quiet, then said, "Don't push me to say that." "Then I'm not coming back." "Not until you really mean it. And until you return the 50 million Tuan owes me." "You're asking us for money," he snapped. "I'm not asking you for anything. I'm asking for what's fair. When you understand that, I'll come back." I hung up. By the third month on a Sunday morning, someone knocked on my door. I opened it and froze. It was Tuan. He looked rough, unshaven, exhausted. "I need to talk," he said. I let him in. He looked around. "You live here?" "Yeah." He sat quietly for a while, then said, "I'm sorry." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Tuan, who'd never apologized to anyone, was apologizing to me. He went on. "Mom and Dad raised me wrong. I got too much, so I thought everything was mine by right. I didn't know how hard it's been for you, how much it hurt you." He pulled an envelope from his bag. "This is the 50 million I borrowed last year. I'm paying you back." I took it, my hands shaking. "Where did you get it?" "I sold my car. I had to pay you back. Otherwise, I couldn't live with myself." Tears filled my eyes. Not because of the money, but because for the first time, Tuan really saw me. He saw me as his brother, someone who deserved respect. He stood up to leave, then turned back at the door. "You did the right thing," he said quietly. "You're stronger than I thought." Then he left. I sat there holding the envelope, crying harder than I had in years. It's been 6 months since I left home. 6 months doesn't sound long, but for me, it's an entire new life. I'm still living in that same 25 square meter room, that tiny space I now call home. It's nothing like my parents' 3-story house. No garden, no fancy rooms. But it's mine. A place where I can just be myself, where no one expects me to sacrifice anymore. Life's stable now. Work's going well, actually better than before. Last month I got promoted and my salary went up to $18 million a month. My boss said I've been more focused, more creative. Maybe it's because I'm finally free from all that family pressure. I can give my best to my work now. Financially, things look good too. After 2N paid back the $50 million, I had a total of $227 million. In 6 months, I saved another $36 million. That makes $263 million. According to my plan, in 2 years, I'll have enough for a down payment on a small apartment, a real home of my own. Step by step, I'm building the future I once dreamed of. Mentally, I'm healthier than ever. No more sleepless nights. No more feeling drained. I feel lighter, freer, and finally proud of myself. As for my family, things changed. We still talk, but not the same way as before. In the 4th month after I left, my parents finally apologized. They invited me home, sat me down, and said the words I'd waited 28 years to hear. Mom's voice shook. "I'm sorry. I was wrong. I spoiled your brother. I didn't see how hard you worked. I treated you like a daughter, someone who'd marry off and leave. That was wrong. You're my son too. You deserve your own future. I'm sorry." Dad spoke next, and for the first time I saw him cry. "I'm sorry too. I thought you had to sacrifice for your brother because that's our tradition. But I was wrong. Tradition doesn't mean unfairness. I shouldn't have treated you that way." I listened, and tears just kept falling. I accepted their apology because they're my parents. But I also said I forgive you, but I'm not moving back. I need time. I need my own space. I'll visit, but I won't live here again. They nodded. They understood. Now I visit once a month. We eat together, talk a bit, and then I go back to my room. The bond is still there, but it's different. It's built on respect, not guilt. They don't demand anymore, and I don't have to give up myself to please them. My relationship with Tuan has changed too. Since he paid me back, he's been texting often. Last month, he took me out for dinner and said, "I didn't know you were this strong. I looked down on you for years. I'm sorry." He added, "I'm trying to handle my own family now. I'm done relying on Mom and Dad. I learned that from you." I smiled. My brother is finally growing up. We're rebuilding our relationship this time on respect, not obligation. And with Anne, we're closer than ever. She visits me, often eats with me, talks about everything. She once told me, "You did the right thing. Because of you, Mom and Dad changed. Because of you, I realized I have the right to ask for fairness too." She's learning to stand up for herself now, to speak up instead of staying silent like I once did. Looking back at these 6 months, here is what I've learned. First, personal boundaries matter. Even with family, you have the right to say no. You have the right to protect your money, your time, and your future. Love doesn't mean blind sacrifice. Second, never let anyone define your worth. My parents saw me as someone weak, as someone who didn't need a future. But I know who I am. I'm their son, a person with dreams, a person who deserves to live his own life. Third, being independent isn't abandoning your family. I left not to cut ties, but to protect myself. To make them understand that I'm not a tool, they raised a person, not a servant. Sometimes leaving is the only way to save a relationship. Fourth, fairness matters more than fake peace. A family can look calm on the outside, but without fairness, that peace is just an illusion. Fifth, sometimes your loved ones have to lose you before they realize your worth. My parents only changed after I left. Only then did they see how much I'd done for them. Only then did they see how unfair they'd been. That's my story. 6 months ago, if someone told me you'll leave home, live alone, and things will get better, I would have laughed. But it's true. I'm not telling you to leave your family like I did. Every situation's different. Every family's different. But I want to say this, you deserve respect even from your own family. If your family's treating you unfairly, don't stay silent. Speak up. Tell them how you feel. If they love you, they'll listen. They don't change, protect yourself. Don't let filial duty become the chain that traps you. Now I'm happier. My parents respect me. My brother understands me. And most importantly, I respect myself. Leaving was the best decision I ever made. What about you? Have you been through something like this? Do you agree with what I did? If it were you, would you give the 150 million? Or would you walk away? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'll read and reply to everyone. Maybe your story will help someone else who's struggling too. And if this story touched you, made you think about your own family, your boundaries, or your right to be respected, share it. Let more people know that love doesn't mean giving up everything. You have the right to be happy. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for staying till the end. I hope it gave you something. Maybe comfort? Maybe a new perspective, or maybe just a reminder that you deserve respect. See you in the next story. Stay strong. Love yourself and always have the courage to stand up for what's right. Thank you again.